Imagine selling land in a tropical paradise. Fertile soil, rivers of gold, streets lined with opportunity. Thousands of miles away, investors rush to buy, settlers pack their belongings, and even banks issue loans for the dream. But what if I told you this entire country never existed? Tonight, we're diving into one of the most daring cons in history, the story of Poyais, the nation invented by a single man, who tricked London's high society and doomed hundreds to disaster. Our story begins with a man named Gregor MacGregor, a Scottish soldier, a decorated officer who fought alongside the legendary Simón Bolívar in South America's Wars of Independence. In London, he was charming, flamboyant, and presented himself as nobility. But behind the polished accent and decorated uniform was something else. A gift for persuasion, a hunger for wealth, and an audacity unlike anything the financial world had ever seen. In 1822, MacGregor announced he was the cacique, the prince of Poyais, a lush Central American nation supposedly gifted to him by a grateful indigenous king. He unveiled maps of fertile valleys, rivers bursting with gold dust, and cities filled with European architecture. There were even pamphlets and guidebooks describing Poyais in lavish detail, its laws, its government, even its currency. Investors were spellbound. Why question a decorated war hero who claimed to have fought for freedom in the New World? Soon, MacGregor was selling land grants and government bonds, not only to London's wealthy merchants, but also to everyday families, clerks, farmers, craftsmen, who dreamed of a fresh start in a promised land. In 1822, the first ships left London. On board were more than 200 hopeful settlers, men, women, children, clutching papers stamped with the seal of Poyais. But when they finally reached the supposed location, there was nothing. No cities, no fertile farmland, no glittering rivers of gold, just dense jungle, hostile terrain, and confusion. They had been sold a dream, but they had landed in nowhere. The settlers were stranded, and soon sickness spread. By the time survivors staggered back to British colonies, nearly 2/3 were dead. Back in London, outrage exploded. Newspapers called it one of the most audacious cons of the century. Investors demanded justice. And yet, here's the astonishing part. Gregor MacGregor was never truly punished. He slipped through the cracks, always moving from one country to another, always finding new victims for smaller schemes. Eventually, he returned to Venezuela, where he lived out his days under Bolívar's government, receiving a pension as a respected military veteran. The Poyais fraud cost investors millions, destroyed families, and took countless lives. But perhaps the most shocking part is how familiar it feels today. Grand promises of untapped wealth, fake documents, investors swept up in greed and excitement, too dazzled to question the story. From Ponzi schemes to crypto rug pulls, the spirit of Poyais is alive and well. MacGregor's fake nation was not just a fraud of the 19th century. It's a warning for ours. A country that never existed, a conman who sold the dream of a nation, and a reminder that the greatest scams are not pulled off with guns, but with stories. Would you have believed in Poyais? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more unbelievable crimes history tried to bury, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll bring you the next forgotten scandal.